This week on the Grimerica show, the guys chat with author Nigel Wright, also known as the Crazy Ufologist.
Okay, gang, welcome back to your latest installment of the Grimerica show. Darren here. With me, as always, is Graham. How's it going, Graham?
Hey, I'm not too bad after an exciting ride home last night.
Yeah, did you get caught in that thunderstorm?
Yeah, right in the middle of it. With a flat tire on my brand new bike, running through the pouring rain to get home. And honestly, I've never been so shit scared by lightning and thunder. Like, I saw the lightning and heard the thunder running with my metal bike, and it shook my body. And I ran around the corner, and there's these two girls on the balcony, and they were like screaming and exclaiming, "Holy shit, that was close!" And meanwhile, I'm, just about home after like a 10K run.
That'll teach you to exercise.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was considering that, it was kind of fun.
Was it pretty busy downtown with the stampede and all?
Yeah, I was getting there.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go near that place this year. It's gone up. Like when I first moved here, it was $8 to get in. Now it's up to I think it's over 20. And it's like $10 a beer, and it's crowded, and I'm done. I'm done stampede.
I'll go check it out. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, you'll have to fill us in on all your stampeding. So did you hear about that train over in Quebec, I guess, first thing this morning?
Yeah, I'm sorry for anybody that's been affected by that.
Yeah. Our thoughts go out to all those over in Quebec that might have been affected by that. I think it was something like 80 car pile up or something like that.
What was it? Something about a runaway train that ended up.
Yeah, it was a runaway train. I think the engineer popped out or something, and he was waiting for his relief, and the train ended up taking off with nobody behind the controls and exploding in the downtown of a little town in Quebec of 6,000 people, I think.
It'll be interesting to see if, and I even hate to bring this up, but to see if the conspiracy theorists have anything strange to say about this.
Yeah, well, there is all that pipeline talk, but we'll keep our ear to the ground and see what comes up in the future. But for now, I just hope everyone turns up okay. But it's not looking like that's going to be the case.
What do you think? The pipeline's going to be shown to be safer mode of transporting oil?
Yeah, that would be one thought, I would imagine. I can almost guarantee you that somebody will use it as a platform.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I've actually got a clip here from one of the witnesses here I'd like to play.
Today, I want you to take us back to the moment of the first explosion. What did you see and hear?
Well, quite simply, it was out of a good old movie. Fireball coming out from downtown of Lake Meganic, and a nice thud in the chest from the shockwave, nice bright lights, and a nice huge bang also. It was a firework display from hell.
Well, you talk about a shockwave. Did you feel anything when the explosion happened?
Yes.
Describe that for us.
Well, it's hard to describe. People who know what a shockwave is will understand. It's just like being hit in the chest with, a 2x4.
Now, I'm trying to get some clarification here, Zeph, because I understand this happened around Lac Megantic. How close was the train derailment to the actual downtown itself?
It was downtown. Where the train derailed is within, I'd say, 50 feet from Main Street. And basically what happened, from what I've heard around here, is the train had some kind of mechanical problem. I can't confirm anything here, okay? This is just hearsay. But basically, the train had mechanical problems or caught fire or something like that one town over in Nantes, Quebec. And from what I heard, the guy jumped out of the train, and the train just came into town, into Lake Meganic, going about 100 miles an hour.
So, but again, important to note, and you noted yourself, at this point, this is speculation, not yet confirmed by officials. But when the explosions first happened, Zeph, what did you think was happening?
So that sounds pretty crazy. You should see the video. We'll make sure we link to the video in the show notes. It looks like a pretty scary place to be, and I hope everyone ended up okay. On the brighter side, we got our first fan mail there a little while back. We've been meaning to read it, but we've been pretty busy. But I suppose we might as well get to that today, eh? It's pretty exciting. Our first official fan mail. We haven't got any hate mail yet, so that's good too.
Yeah, no hate mail so far. And I got to apologize to Jared Drake for our delay in reading this out. But anyways, this is what he says. Hey, guys, loving the show. I've just listened to all your shows to date over the last 2 days. Overload. But I found it easy to keep up. He's a huge fan of the Gralien Report and MU, which is Mysterious Universe. So I know the content really well. To me, your show is like having a conversation with your mates at a bar, discussing the movie we all just went to, where the movie is topics from the Gralien Report or MU, and the bar is in my head. I say this as the explicit language and the casual pace you guys have is nice and relaxed. It's like being able to just develop the conversation further. I like it. Keep it up, guys. I know it isn't your full-time gig, so you don't have the luxury that others may have, but I thoroughly enjoyed all the content. Nice start, well done, and cheers from a fan way down here in New Zealand. And he says here, I shotgun the spot of being your first Kiwi ambassador. Cheers, lads.
And you get the spot. So here's the Kiwi ambassador sound anthem, I suppose.
What is that?
That's a Kiwi.
I hope you don't have to hear many of those. What is it, a bird?
Yeah, now from now on, before we read an email, a fan email, we're gonna play this. And you guys can thank our Kiwi ambassador, Jared Drake, for that.
And I thought we had a bad here with those birds. What are those birds hanging around here all the time?
Magpies.
Magpies, yeah, they're pretty squawky.
Yeah, I think you're allowed to kill them.
But nothing like this Hitchcock sound. So anyways, I'm glad he mentioned that about keeping up, because sometimes I'm concerned about that if people aren't interested in these topics, that they may not be able to keep up with some of the stuff we're talking about. And I don't mean that in a condescending way. I just mean that sometimes I wonder if we should make this podcast a little more general or talk about things in a little more sort of 101 type way. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
I don't know. Maybe someone can email and let us know. I think our audience has a general consensus of what's going on, though. So
yeah, I just don't want to limit it to people that are really have a hardcore interest in all this stuff, you know?
Yeah, no, neither do I. So I think our wide scope of guests should help keep a lot of people interested.
Anyways, thanks for the email, Jared Drake.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, and to our new Kiwi ambassador.
And we got some books here, too, we want to talk about.
Yeah, we got some books in the mail from the people over at Inner Traditions. We'd like to say thanks to them, of course. And, of course, we're going to have the authors on. Probably our July filled up really quick, so we're probably looking at it'll be over into August now before we have them on.
The first one here is Frank Joseph's book, Before Atlantis, 20 Million Years of Human and Pre-Human Cultures. And the next one we got is by Finley Eversole, PhD, and the foreword is by Carl Merritt, MD, and it's Energy Medicine Technologies. That's ozone healing, microcrystals, frequency therapy, and the future of health.
Yeah, my wife actually started reading that one already, I think.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That's right up my alley. And then here's the next one. A True Story of Interplanetary Travel by Len Kasten. That's the secret journey to planet Serpo. Actually, this guy's going to be on the Gralien Report coming up.
Yeah, wasn't he? Yeah, he's on the Gralien Report next week.
Yeah, next week.
You guys can check that out. He'll be on there before he's on here.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure we hopefully we can listen to the Gralien first and make sure we get some new stuff. And of course, you guys can email in any questions you'd like to ask yourselves. So yeah,
that's going to be an interesting one, because that's kind of. I think the ufological community has a difficult. No, I have a difficult time with that one. But hey, you never know. You never know. Some of this stuff might be true.
Yeah, I don't know. He's going to have a tough time changing my mind, but I can't wait to read it. Yeah. I read like the first chapter already. It seems pretty crazy. Yeah, and there's like a whole list of the shit they brought with them and where they lived. It's all documented in the back. So have you heard anything about these leaked U.S. Army plans for re-education camps in America?
No, nothing at all.
Oh, it was on beforeitsnews.com. Apparently some files have been leaked saying that there's plans to have these camps, which would basically be like an internment camp, it seems like, for political activists and I suppose
you
protesters.
mean terrorists?
I guess domestic terrorists they're pretty much going to be all classified in the same thing pretty quick here.
I don't know if I believe it. Where'd it come from?
Before it's news. He's got even the document here, dude.
So is that
true?
Just like the MJ12 documents are true?
Yeah, that's right.
Is this where where the big camps are getting made, those FEMA camps and stuff? That's not that, is it?
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is it kind of fucking ties into that. It seems like this just came out, I think, but it kind of ties into that whole FEMA camp thing. It says here that the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA are both involved, along with the UN and the Red Cross.
I really don't see how that would fly. I mean, could you imagine saying to people that we're going to put you in, what is it, re-education?
Yeah, re-education, where you're gonna be taught to
obey.
Basically, yeah.
All right.
A psychological operations officer will deal with you.
Oh my God, yeah. Oh, that's
psyop. So I don't know. I wouldn't surprise me. And then I was reading something earlier too about a bunch of ammunition that. Remember a while ago, everyone was all up in arms about all this ammunition that
being bought.
That the Department of Homeland Security had bought.
Now it's disappeared.
Now it's disappeared. So what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know.
We got to dig into that a little bit more. I just seen that article come out today someplace.
Yeah.
But apparently this $1.6 billion worth of ammunition has disappeared, or it's been deployed.
Deployed.
How
do you deploy ammunition?
You deploy it to the people who need to use it.
Like okay.
Lockdown, bitch.
It's been distributed, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Distributed to maybe something's coming that we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know. That's crazy, man.
Egypt's already going crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. And China and Russia aren't too happy, I don't think. It seems like everything's kind of just falling apart or something.
Yeah, falling off the fucking rails, buddy. Hold on. Here we go. And then there's all this Snowden shit. And
we don't want to talk about that anymore.
No, yeah, we've officially stopped talking about Edward Snowden. I'm hearing it everywhere we go, so you guys aren't going to have to put up with any more of it here.
What about Egypt? I mean, you mentioned that. That's
I think
crazy.
Yeah, it's getting pretty crazy over there. I follow a blogger on my Twitter account. He blogs out of Egypt. I'm just popping on here because I don't remember what his handle is, and I want to make sure I get it out here. So yeah, the Big Pharaoh. It's just the Big Pharaoh at the Big Pharaoh, and he's been tweeting out some pictures and talking about how the newspapers over there are saying that it's a revolution, not a coup. So basically, he's saying that it's not the military that's taking place over. It's actually the citizens themselves.
And we're hearing in the American mainstream media that it's a coup, or they don't know what to call it. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of mainstream on it, but that's definitely what I've been hearing. Is that angle is that. Basically, it's a military coup, which I don't know. I don't know how that helps the state's posturing in any way, but I'm sure it makes a difference whether the people think it's a coup or a revolution, right? You don't want to get involved in a revolution.
Yeah.
A revolution's a country's right.
Yeah, right.
But maybe a coup, we can go in and fucking do whatever we want there and put in whoever we want in power.
Yeah. That's interesting. It's important how they label it. And it's strange, though, how it's so divided, right? It's all these supporters of the current president, or I guess he's not a current president anymore, is he? He's out, right? And then all the dissenters.
Morsi, I think,
yeah, Morsi with a Y or an I. Who knows? The spelling keeps changing, apparently.
Oh, really? That's the first I heard about that.
Yeah, that's what the No Agenda guys were saying.
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that one yet. That must have been the 4th of July one. What's today's the 6th of July?
Yeah, 4th.
So I suppose we should pump Nigel's tires a little bit here before we get into the interview.
Yeah, so Nigel Wright, the crazy ufologist. I love how he actually calls himself that.
All one word.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been blogging for our site a little bit. He's written a couple books. He was a journalist with a couple papers, paranormal journals back in the 90s, I think.
Yeah. Well, he's been writing for UFO phenomena and paranormal phenomena for over 40 years now, and of course, he is a blogger for us here at Grimerica. if you go to the site and just go to the Crazy Ufologist blog, that's all his stuff there. So he's got a great article up now about some of his work on mutilated whales and things like that. We'll get into all that in the interview, of course.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, and of course there's the time difference there, so it's good night. It's very nice of Nigel to stay up late to talk to us over here across the pond. All right, well, I suppose we might as well just get on to the man of the hour. You got anything else you want to get into here before we get into it?
No, that's it. Here's our chat with Nigel Wright, the crazy ufologist.
Okay, guys, enjoy the interview here. I just wanted to pop back in real quick and apologize for the first 4 or 4.5 minutes of the interview. Graham and I's audio is actually coming through the internal mic on the computer instead of the mixer, but after about 4 minutes, that'll clear right up. So sorry about that, guys. Enjoy. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica show. With us tonight, we have Nigel Wright, the crazy ufologist, as he's known on Twitter and around UFO circles in the UK and a few circles here in North America, I'm sure, just as well. With me, as always, is Graham. How's it going, Graham?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm looking forward to discussing some of my favorite topics.
Yeah, you're always quite the UFO guy. So thanks for joining us, Nigel. How's it going over in the UK?
Well, hello. Good evening from where I am. It's just come 10 o'clock at night over here in the UK. Yep, I'm fine. Thanks very much. A lovely sunny day. We've had about 25 degrees of heat here today, which is pretty unusual. But yeah, fine. Thanks very much. You guys keeping all right?
Yeah, it's been good. We had some flooding there a while back, but the sun's been out lately. Today it's kind of shitty, but other than that, it's been pretty nice. 25 is actually a pretty comfortable temperature. I'd rather have it around there than up in the 30s.
Well, it can get a bit chilly here. Last couple of winters, it got down to about -10, which was for us over in the UK. It's getting a bit chilly, but. Yeah, I can set up at 25. I lived in Spain a few years ago, and I'm getting quite used to the sort of +20 temperatures there.
Yeah, we go a lot lower than -10 in our winters.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So I suppose if you could just take a minute and let the audience know just who Nigel Wright is.
Well, that's a good question. Who indeed is Nigel Wright? Okay, Nigel Wright. Right, I'm 55 years old. I've been a ufologist now. As a hobby for about 47 years. I started out, first of all, with a UFO sighting with my parents when we were on a caravanning or trailer holidays, you call it over that side, when I was 8. So Mum and Dad woke up one night, saw the typical sort of cigar-shaped UFO in the middle of a thunderstorm, hovering above some power lines on this camping field. And my father was a professional press photographer. So he had a camera ready, and he was trying desperately to take a photograph of this thing. My mother said, that she saw the portholes for the occupants along the side of it, and it sort of went up at a 45-degree angle and shot off into the sky. And that was it, really. I mean, I was hooked from there on in. In those days, in the UK, getting any books on the subject of ufology was nigh on impossible. I mean, if you could get any, they were usually stateside. What I tend to call pulpy books, the ones with the yellowy sort of edges on them, and they always had that peculiar smell, paperbacks. And they were always talking about small town America, which a I didn't know. And I had a big map of the US and Canada up on my wall, and I used to sort of mark off the little towns in the Midwest, trying to figure out patterns of these sightings, these really weird events in places I didn't have a clue how to pronounce, not know where they were. And so I used to scour bookshops, and then luckily the British UFO scene started to take off. We had people like Brisley Lepore Trench, the author, and the Warminster mystery started to creep up. I was very fortunate. I met a couple of authors. I had to travel some distance to find any meeting, and I started to get a weird reputation with my friends at college, because I used to take off on my motorbike to go up to spend weekends sat up on Warminster Hill, Cradle Hill, Warminster, with a vacuum flask of warm soup and a pair of ex-German World War II binoculars, and an anorak, and just peer at the night sky, really. And that's how I went on. And then UFO magazine with Graham Birdsall started. I started writing a bit for Graham. Met him a few times at the UFO conventions, and that's how I really got into it.
So when did that scene start happening in the UK?
UFO magazine around about the 80s, mid-80s. That really took off then. British Ufology, we had, I think by that time, there was about 5 UFO magazines in the UK, and it was getting really quite popular. And then I, as I said, I was still working full time. I was a cabbie. I had my own cab, and then I got pretty ill. Unfortunately, I got cancer, which sort of finished my career off as a cabbie. And I found myself at a loose end. I was 34 years old, didn't have much to do. And by chance, I bumped into a guy called John Downs, who ran the Centre for Fortean Zoology in Devon. And didn't know much about cryptozoology, but he ran a paranormal group as well. And got chatting to him, and ended up working with him full time, and landed myself a job as a paranormal journalist for the local paper. And that's how I got into being a full-time paranormal journalist, which I did right up to this year. I've just basically slowed down a bit now.
Wow,
but,
no, that's great.
I ended up doing TV and film work and press work for that. So, over the years, I've sort of crazy ufologist is an apt name for myself, actually. I suppose I'm a bit crazy. I mean, I never made much money at it, but I've got a passion for the paranormal and a passion for ufology, which is probably as bright now as it was 40 odd years ago. I've never really lost the passion for the thing.
What is it about that, do you think? Is it the mystery part of it?
Yeah, I mean, when you're younger, do you know what fascinates me more is the evolution of the subject. When I remember coming in, and it had to be E.T., back when I first started, everything had to be alien. It had to be all UFOs were alien craft. You either believed in alien ETs or you thought it was a whole load of rubbish. That was it, full stop. Today, as we progress through orbs and FTs, and now I've gone along with it, and I met it. I was lucky enough to meet Eric von Daniken a few years back. Now, there's a lot of criticism of von Daniken's work for various reasons, which we probably shouldn't go into on air, but I must admit the man was very charming and seemed very genuine when I met him. But what I do credit him with, and I think he doesn't get enough credit for, is the fact that he made a whole generation of young men, myself included, young people, men and women, I should say, to be fair, stop and question what we've been taught at school and at college, and to actually open our minds up to other possibilities. Because I've got a passion for history as well. Yeah,
I totally agree.
And I think, he hasn't been given enough credit for actually saying, look, hang on a minute, don't accept what you've been taught, especially in history. Don't accept it as being the gospel truth. Question things, And I actually started questioning my tutors at college and sort of saying, well, you're saying about that. What happens if it's not like that? What proof have you got? How do you explain these drawings? How do you explain these artifacts?
Yeah.
And I found that they didn't have the answers.
No.
And so, and then ufology progressed again, and I met people who were into electromagnetic propulsion systems and interdimensional craft, and advanced technology military-wise. So now you've got not just do you believe in ET, do you believe in UFOs being ET or not? You've got in that you've got a sort of subdivisions of all these different interests, and it's amazing how the subjects branched out and grown over the years. And I think that's great. I mean, it leads to very interesting discussions sometimes.
Yeah.
A few heated arguments.
So how have you changed your feeling about the subject as the culture of it has evolved?
I have changed. Like most people, when I started out, I purely believed they were ET. They had to be alien because there's no way we could ever have a craft that advanced. But thanks to Von Daniken, thanks to the evidence that's come forward since, I then started thinking, black technology, Area 51, but we'll go into that probably later. Area 51, I say that with a bit of a giggle. And going through that, and then you branch into different things like MIBs, which I did a lot of research on. And then it goes into electromagnetic propulsion, which really interests me. EMF working. EMF, by the way, is something I've got a passion for. I think electromagnetic field work is so important. We use it a lot in ghost hunting, as you know. But I think there should be a lot more research with EMF and UFO sightings in locations, because there's so much evidence of EMF activity around the time of UFO sightings, and around they don't tie it into the areas involved either. And I think there's a very close, a lot of good research work could be done there. So that's one passion. But yes, I've altered, and I think, yes, a lot of it probably is black technology. A percentage maybe ET, but my main thing is I think a lot of it is interdimensional. Now, whether that's from the future, whether that's from an alternative parallel universe, but my main thinking is a lot of it is interdimensional. It would explain an awful lot of how they can appear, disappear, move so rapidly, be seen by some people, not others. Yeah. It's I think it would explain a lot of that, but again, we're all still groping in the dark, and that's part of the fascination of the subject. We're still groping in the dark. We could be in it, like me, for nearly 50 years, and you still come across something new every day. Yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you. It's a bit of everything, in my opinion. A bit of ET, a bit of interdimensional. Probably more and more black projects recently. Time travel. I think it's a bit of everything. Time travel's a fascinating one, isn't it? I don't know if you guys would agree with me on this or not, but I mean, if we were to travel back in time, I don't know if you guys are secret Trekkies. I was when I was a kid. Oh yeah, I'm a big Trekkie. You know the non-interference directive they used to have. You can go back in time, but you mustn't interfere for the ripple effect.
The Prime Directive.
That's the one. Well, now if you put yourself into a time traveler's shoes and you've got this fantastic traveling craft, and go back through time, we would do what UFO appears to exactly do. We would take samples, we would observe, we would definitely not interfere, and we would not alter the course of history, but we would do basically what they seem to do. Mm-hmm. And even down to the points of mutilations. Another subject which fascinates me. Would we take samples from animals if we could go back in the past? Probably. It seems an interesting thought that we could tie in an awful lot of alleged paranormal, and I use that with brackets around it, paranormal activity. Could be simply explained away by the fact that we don't understand the technology that's being used because it's coming from the future.
Yeah, but does that mean that the time machine has to already be invented? Was that one of the paradoxes? You can only go back as far as the day the time machine was. I don't know. My time stuff is kind of hazy.
Well, MIBs, right? Okay, Men in Black,
like Will Smith.
Yeah, I love the films. So they're great fun. But I mean, the thing with MIBs is everybody associates them with starting in about the 1950s in the US. I think that, anyone, if you say MIB, they think 1950s Cadillac, two men in black suits, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I actually, when I was doing the research for a book, I found an MIB type report on the front page of a 1909 English newspaper. Now, the UK in the early 1900s was going through these mystery airships that were being seen all over the country. Mm-hmm. But this one came from Humberside, which is on the northeast coast of the UK, and it involved two guys who suddenly mysteriously came up in a black automobile, which then again was a rarity in those times. Got out, asked these local workmen who were digging a trench about any sort of strange airship activity that had been seen, whether there were any mines laid in the river next to it, and then asked them for directions to some house or another. Got into this automobile and sped away. I can only imagine they sped away at about 5 miles an hour, but they sort of sped away. And, you know, it read as your atypical UFO MIB report. And this was from 1908. So it makes you wonder whether, you know, MIBs have been around a lot longer than we give them credit for. As my co-author of the book said, if we were to go back to Napoleonic times, we'd finally find two strange men clad in black getting out of a black carriage and asking the same sort of questions. Yeah. You know,
they're riding black horses.
Yeah, time travel. Why not? Why not?
You know, you do hear those old legends of, you know, the Black Knight is always the force of evil.
Yeah, exactly. You know, this legends are a gold mine. I come from an area of the UK. I was born and bred in a place called the Southwest Peninsula, which basically is I was born in a place called Somerset, which is right down getting towards the southwest coast of the UK, right down the bottom coast. It's a peninsula right down the very end, deep south. And in those parts of the neck of the woods, we're absolutely crammed full with legends, and it didn't help. It doesn't help having a lot of history of smuggling and piracy as well. So, you know, they were akin to sort of making up nice ghostly legends to keep the customs men at bay. But they do have a lot of legends about black cats, black dogs, ghost, you know, Yelth hounds and the hounds of hell going across the moorlands, Dartmoor and Exmoor. And that's another fascination subject of mine.
Yeah, there's a lot of accounts of like I don't think we have a lot of big cat accounts about black cats over here, but England seems to be just full of them, which is kind of weird because you guys are on an island too. You'd think you'd be able to corner one. Exactly.
Now you're getting back to my premise again about dimensional creatures.
Yeah.
There are places in England. Although I come from the southwest and I live up here now, I've been up here about 5 years up north. There's a place near Birmingham, which is in the Midlands. It's halfway between the two, called Cannock Chase. Now, Cannock Chase was pretty popular and very well known for UFOs and Bigfoot sightings, believe it or not, and also sightings of cavemen-type creatures and big cats. And you know, it's weird because the topography is virtually identical to the moorlands down in the southwest where you get the same sort of things. UFOs, black cats, not big feet, but UFOs and black cats. The difference being that this area in Cannock Chase in the Midlands has got a history of mining. It's riddled with underground mining works. And that started me thinking, well, you know, if these cavemen-type creatures suddenly appear, which they've done, I mean, there's more than one instance, quite a few recorded instances of Bigfoot and that. Well, maybe they are interdimensional, you know, and maybe the geology of the place has got something to do with it, or it's just a particular area that's got a rift, you know, where you get these people suddenly appear and disappear. Isn't the fact that they're, you know, physically running away? It's the fact that they perhaps just appear in our dimension and then just disappear again.
Yeah, so it's more about the location or a portal than the entity themselves. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, the geology of one of the places I studied in the southwest is weird because two-way radios move. It's got very strange EMF qualities. It's also got something like 13 or 14 tumuli, you know, burial mounds from the Iron Age and a perfect Iron Age fort on it. If you go dowsing on it, the dowsing rods go crazy. It's quartz composite with running water underneath. It's, you know, and again, it's this EMF connection again. It's strange geomagnetic sort of weirdo things going on. But they seem to manifest themselves more in areas where you've got high levels of all sorts of paranormal activity. And that includes a lot of UFO work.
Yeah, so you're seeing a lot of correlation between UFOs and all kinds of other paranormal, cryptozoological activity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The number of cases that I've come across in the past where you have UFOs and black cat sightings in the same area. Or you got UFOs, especially in the States and Canada, you get UFOs and Bigfoot sightings in the same sort of area. There is definitely a reason why these things. John and I keep on about this book, and I don't like pumping books out, but
no, go ahead.
Oh, by all means, yeah.
We postulated the theory that perhaps certain areas, and the area we covered in the Southwest had been or are areas where you get heightened human emotions going on, i.e. religious ecstasy or battle sites, or somewhere where you get a high amount of energy or fear. And we were exploring every possibility to explain it. And we came across postulated a theory that perhaps it had to do with orgone energy and Wilhelm Reich's work. And these, perhaps there is a creature or an organism or something like that that needs to live on fear. And to produce fear, it creates these, scary events because it needs to feed. It's based on Wilhelm Reich's work. It's quite complicated to explain, but quickly on a radio program. I mean, this is quite, it's grasping at straws of trying to tie together known science with an unknown phenomena, and you've got to fill in the gap in the middle, and it's great. Sorry, hang on a sec. Sorry about that. My wife just passed me a note. It's good. Sue's been with me for 34 years, and God bless her, she's my right arm, and she's just reminding us. Yeah, I mean, we do a few films together because Sue's a medium, so we sort of work as a medium and a paranormal researcher together, which is quite good fun.
Yeah.
Sue's a total skeptic, would you believe? No, she's a medium, and we have a few arguments on film, which is quite interesting. So there you go.
So Nigel, it seems like you were definitely finding some correlation between all different aspects of the paranormal and UFOs and such throughout your research.
Yeah, I mean, although we put this in the book, I don't want to say, look, this is definitely what's happening, because I think you get into the age where you're getting a little bit, I would be getting very pompous if I said, look, I've got the answer to everything, because I don't think anyone has found the answer to all paranormal activity, but I'm sure there is a common denominator.
Yeah,
I am positive that there is a common denominator between all. Again, I use the word paranormal with parenthesis around it because I can't remember who said it. You have to forgive me. I'm going to abbreviate a very famous quote that says, "There's no such thing as the paranormal, but the normal that we have yet to understand."
Yeah,
and I think that's a very good quote.
Yeah, I love that.
But I am sure that there is a link between cryptozoology, crypto animals, creatures, UFOs, ghosts, psychokinesis, ESP, mediumship. I'm sure all these have a common denominator, and it's been not only my aim, but the aim of a lot of very, very good researchers I've been fortunate enough to work with and meet, to find that common denominator.
Yeah, which could easily be consciousness.
Or
it could be. Yeah, I agree.
Oh. Quick question: would you throw crop circles into that mix too?
Yeah, provided they don't happen when the college breaks up and the pub's nearby.
Yeah.
I think there are genuine crop circles.
Yeah.
There are definitely some very well-made man-made fakes, which are fantastic works of art, but annoy the farmers immensely. But yeah, I think you could possibly put, why not? Put crop circles.
Yeah, talking about
well.
the genuine ones, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, there have been some very interesting research on crop circles in the past. I can't remember the name of the guy. I met him once. I can't remember the name. He actually produced music via a MIDI computer program from crop circle patterns. It was fascinating. The amount of, this is again the reason why I love the paranormal so much, because you go off on a tangent and people start doing their own bits of research at a different angle to the mainstream.
Yeah, it's all about the rabbit holes.
Yeah, exactly. And in a way, isn't it brilliant? Because if we were all heading in the same direction, we'd all be arguing all the time about the same thing. But then you can go to a convention and someone will bring up an idea and you think, whoa, that's a bit left field, and then you sit down and you start looking through it and you think, wow, hang on a minute, they may have got something here. And that leads you off on your own little branch of research, and it's, gosh, I just love the subject. I love, you mentioned the word paranormal, I'm like a rabbit to a light, that's it. Crazy? Yeah, I'm crazy. Okay, I admit it.
So that kind of brings us to some of the big cases that you've investigated over there, like the UFO flap and the mammal mutilations and all that kind of stuff. You want to get into that a bit?
Yeah. Well, I was very fortunate. if you're a paranormal researcher, the chances of you being in the right place at the right time are pretty well zero. You usually come in before the event or after the event, and you certainly don't live near it. But as I was saying, I recently retired from taxi driving full time, and being a bit ill, I was a bit of a loose end. And I noticed in the local paper, the local rag, there was a couple of UFO sightings, which in itself wasn't totally unusual, but it was a bit weird. It was not the usual run-of-the-mill thing down that part of the world. Mm-hmm. And this is in a little seaside fishing village called Exmouth, which is about 13 miles from Exeter, down on the southwest coast of England, and it's on the southern coast. Give you guys a good bearing. Plymouth is about 40 miles south of it, so it's up in the Lyme Bay area. And anyway, I had these UFO sightings. Again, nothing pretty spectacular. A few orange orbs, and being I was sort of mad keen, I had about 500 books on the subject then. I got interested, and I just started reading it. And I phoned up the local paper and said, look, these are really interesting. Can you give me some details of who reported it? Can I, would it be all right if I went around and had a word with them? Because I'm just well into the subject and I'd like to have a chat. So they gave very kindly asked the people if I could come round, and I did. And I interviewed the people concerned. And I thought, this is a bit strange in this town. We don't seem to get very much of this. And then all of a sudden, it sort of exploded. And like I say, in the first week or two, they had something like 40 or 50 sightings. And it wasn't just orbs. It was axe head-shaped craft. It was FTs. It was flying circuses type of craft, like a flying fairground, one person described it as.
Wow.
And the local paper got in a bit of a flap over it. And my brother-in-law was then sports editor of that paper. And he was having a chat with the editor one day, the general editor. And he said, well, I don't know if we're going to write about it because none of us in the crew know much about UFOs. And he just said, well, my brother-in-law's into UFOs, been there for years, knowing that I'd have passion and thing. And before I knew it, I had a phone call from the local newspaper editor saying, hey, do you fancy doing a piece for the paper? And I thought, God, I'm no journalist. Well, okay, I'll give it a crack. I'd written for the college rag, and you could hardly publish what I wrote for that. But he said, okay, I'll give it a go. And that was it. Before I knew it, I was writing a regular column on the paranormal. And all of a sudden, I had to be not only master of one trade, but jack of all trades. Mm-hmm. I had to be, because people started reporting black cat sightings at the same time, and then they started reporting strange deer mutilations on this common, which is about 2 miles north.
Strange what? Strange deer?
Deer mutilations. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were finding carcasses of deers hanging up in trees, stripped of all the flesh except for the bone. The bones were smooth, so they obviously hadn't been cut. The flesh hadn't been cut off. There was no knife marks. Mm-hmm. They'd been just literally stripped clean and hanging out of trees. And I even got a phone call from one of the local services. I shan't say which military service it was. I better keep that to myself. Who said that they'd actually been up there exercising, and they'd actually seen families of black cats up there, male or female with the young, and on night exercise especially. So I started getting into that. And meanwhile, this UFO wave was going absolutely bonkers, and we started getting, I think it was 6 witnesses from one housing estate in one night with 4 different types of UFOs. My phone was, because my name and number was in the paper then, I was getting phone calls at like 3 o'clock in the morning, Sue and I. And I was having to go out, and I had to actually go out one morning at 4 o'clock in the morning and pacify with this poor woman who'd seen it, with her kids had seen it as well. And they were all sort of crowded down in the room screaming with fear near enough. And the thing of being an axe head shaped, multicolored UFO, which had hovered over their house for about 20 minutes before shooting off. And they honestly thought, I think they thought there was going to be like World of Worlds. They were going to get invaded by Martians or something. And it really terrified the kids, because the kids were about I think about 10 and 9, 10 and 8, something like that. So this was all going on. There were more mutilation cases. There were ghost sightings coming out of the woodwork. Now, a lot of this is psychology, because if there's a lot in the local press about UFOs or deer mutilations, you're going to get people coming out of the woodwork all over anyway. Yeah. Imagination starts taking over in the psychology bit.
And when was this? In the 80s, 90s?
This was in 1997.
Okay. Oh, that late. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that late. And it started getting to the stage where I wasn't really getting much sleep. John and I thought we were Battle of Britain pilots, ever on the call for the next sortie. It got that bad. And then all of a sudden I got a call from John one day, and he said, dear boy, because he's one of these public school educated, lovely guy, but he's got this real robustious voice. He's 6'7" and about 20 stone. And dear boy, I've got a whale washed ashore down your part of the world. Would you go and have a look at it? And I thought, yeah, that's just what I want. I just have my tea. I really want to stand on the beach and look at a decomposing whale. But yeah, all right. And I went down, and sure enough, there was this carcass of a 20-foot whale. It was a common enough whale, and it had nothing wrong with it. There wasn't a mark on it except for the genital area, the reproductive area, which had been cored out. And as soon as I saw the injury, the coring was about the width of a dinner plate, and it was perfectly smooth, and it was just bored right across, and the whole section was missing. And then I looked around the front, and the front jaw was missing, lower jaw. And I thought, this is really weird. So I hung around, took some photographs, and I hung around upwind, I hasten to add, not downwind, waiting for the English Heritage chap, because in Britain, English Heritage, which is a government department, they're responsible for disposing of whale carcasses. And a poor guy come up, and I sort of said to him, you do quite a lot of whales around the UK. Oh, yeah. I said, well, can you explain these injuries? Are they boat strikes? Are they some sort of predator? And he said, I've never seen anything like it, quite frankly. He said, I've never seen that sort of injuries on a whale carcass. Well, being I was into ufology, when I saw those injuries, they rang a bell with me, cattle mutilation, exactly the same sort of thing, exactly the same sort of injury. And so I got hold of John, who is more a zoologist than I am. And we did some research. And when I went back through the local records, and I found that in 1987, exactly 10 years virtually to the day, they'd had another whale washed ashore in exactly the same part of the shoreline. Now, this time, it was a rarer breed. It was what's called a Colbiers beach whale, and they're extremely rare. And this one, sure enough, had its lower jaw removed. And at the time, they blamed it on souvenir hunters who were after the teeth, whale's teeth. Mm-hmm. There's only one slight problem. This was a female, and female Colbiers whales don't have teeth. So that was quickly discounted. But this one, again, had the injuries to the lower jaw was missing, and also coring. And we went through all the zoological and marine specimens we could think of, and the only thing we could come up with is a cuttlefish in the Pacific, which bores into its victims, but that's only about 4 inches across. This wound was the size of a dinner plate. I just couldn't think of anything else other than it was a mutilation case. It was a classic animal mutilation case, but on a whale.
How clean was the cut? Very
clean. It was surgically precise. I mean, that's what got me. I mean, it wasn't a ragged incision at all. It was perfectly circular. If I didn't know better, I'd say it'd been done with a laser. It was that clean and that precise that, it's like you would expect in a surgical operation. It was very neat. It was exactly as I'd read and seen the photographs of cattle mutilations in the US and wherever. It was exactly the same. And at that particular time, what tied it in for John and I was not only because there was a middle of a UFO wave in that area, same area, but across the channel, which is about 100 miles across the English Channel, almost the exact opposite side of the channel, a whole pod of dolphin were found mutilated on the shoreline. So it's very strange. It's very strange. And to have two instances 10 years apart almost to the day, exactly in the same area, exactly during UFO wave, and nothing, not one whale sighting, not alone a beaching in between. Nothing at all. It's very weird, and it's too much of a coincidence. From my mind, it's too much of a coincidence.
too much of a coincidence that there's all this UFO activity in the same time. Like, how do you not put
Yeah,
those
you've
together?
got to. I mean, common sense would dictate, well, if these things, because we had USO lights seen there at the same time, two young lads spearfishing on the same area where the whale was found, the same headland. Where it's spearfishing, this light shot up out of the sea, luminescent green light came up underneath them, shot up out of them, terrified the life out of them, shot up into the sky and disappeared. And they obviously got out of the water because they were dead scared. They're only young lads, about 15, 16-year-old. Got dressed. At the same time, their mother is driving a car up to pick them up because obviously they'd sort of phoned her up for a lift. And on the way there, she suddenly sees a strange lit-up creature running around, she said, as if it had LED lights all over it, run along and run in front of her car and disappear through a hedge on the road up to it. This is sort of crazy coincidental stuff that was going on. It was like all heck was loose. Anything was on. It was game on for any sort of paranormal activity in that area. And it was an interesting time, but it stopped. This is why we say Battle of Britain. It stopped as quick as it started. We got to end of September. It didn't tail off. It was going frantic. John and I literally weren't getting any sleep. My wife wasn't getting much. Just couldn't keep up with the reports at all. Pardon me, sorry, I got a cough in my throat here. And it got to the stage, I said, we had about, I think it was 142 or 146 reports in 3 months. And that was just UFOs. I mean, it's just crazy ufology. And then one day, woke up, nothing. And the phone stayed silent, and John's phone stayed silent. And we said, this is weird. And nothing. And you waited every day for the phone to go. Nothing. Completely dead. UFOs, that was it. Yeah, it just stopped. Like that.
Did it continue 10 years later in the summer of 2007?
Oh, there's the weird thing. When it came to 2007, I was running my own group then down there, and I said to him, right, we're going to, this is it. We're in for a really good time. Nothing. Nothing. And yet I'd had records happening it from 77 right back to 1907. Wow. But then it seemed to stop, and it stopped.
As soon as you're ready for it.
Yeah. As soon as we were all ready, had the cameras and everything out ready to go, nothing happened.
As soon as the phenomenon realizes that someone's caught on.
Well, that's what makes you wonder whether or not there's an intelligence behind it, because they play patsy with you. And it's like ghosts. You hunt for a ghost, you can guarantee it won't, it's not a performing animal. And you can have all the gear set up and nothing will happen. And then you'll walk into a place with no gear at all and you get scared out of your life by a really good ghost sighting. It's just crazy, but that's part of the reason I guess we all love the paranormal. It's in the weird.
That's kind of what got me hooked when I had my UFO sighting in Israel. I looked up after I'd missed the original sighting with a bunch of friends, and I'd looked up and I was saying, please come back. Like, I want to see you too. And then it appeared and I spotted it that time. So,
yeah, what part of Israel?
Oh, it was in Tel Aviv, right in the city, in a rooftop hostel. So,
well, I speak as a good half Jewish lad. I envy you. It's one part of the world I've never been to. I should go, shouldn't I? Really?
Yeah, you should before it falls apart. Yeah.
Well, my mum's maiden name was Isaac, so I mean, if anyone has to go there, I've got all the credentials, as they say.
Yeah.
And I've never been there, but I saw that UFO, that beautiful one that floated down over the top of the dome and then shot off. That was a crazy UFO sighting. The one I'm on about, the light that descended over the dome. And then and then a few more came out right after that were proven hoax or whatever. So it muddied up the waters of the whole thing, right? Boy, hoaxes. The bane of my life is Chinese lanterns. And then we've had a very big fire here recently, thanks to one of those. They're about 20p, which I don't know. In dollar terms, is about 25 cents or less, and this thing floated down into 100,000 tons of waste plastic and set fire to the lot.
Really?
Yeah, and it burned down a £6 million worth of factory and plastic waste, and it was all caused by this little 25-cent lantern.
Oh wow!
So we're hoping now that there's going to be some sort of legislation, because there's no legislation, anyone can buy them, and they're a pain in the backside. They really are, and they're dangerous. They burn wildlife. They burn farmers' stock. They come down. I just think it's great fun, but there's a dangerous side to it as well.
But they're not supposed to come down. They're just supposed to keep going up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these things, the old adage, isn't it? What goes up has got to come down.
But not while it's still lit, though.
Not while it's still lit. No, but this thing actually did. It burnt 100,000 tons of waste plastic. You can imagine, can't you, the toxic fumes and that coming off that. Having spoke so, my sympathies to the Canadian people today. I hear you've had a really bad train crash over there too. So I was looking on the news at that earlier on. 80 tankers gone off the rails.
Yeah.
It's quite nasty.
How many?
Lots.
They're reading 80 tankers.
80
tankers.
Wow.
Rails.
Wow.
It looks like Hiroshima going up there. I know it's wiped out the center of the town, but my sympathies to everyone over there, because we're all human beings and nobody likes to see anyone hurt or injured like that.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty international sort of guy. I sympathize with anyone in the world that has a natural or any sort of disaster like that. I don't care about politics or borders. They don't matter when it's human beings at risk,
Yeah. No, that's the same way we are, too. It's funny that...
Yeah. Politics has got its place, but not when it's misery and suffering is caused. That, to me, that's when you put politics to one side, you just become a human being. Oh, God, I'm getting on with sympathetic Cecil now. I'm not talking about politics. Sorry about that.
No, I don't. You don't want to get me going on that. So
No.
So back to ufology in the UK. We were just having a discussion the other day about the perception that the UK ufologists are a little more skeptical than our North American counterparts.
Bit more reserved, maybe. Skeptical. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe more reserved. I don't know about skeptical either, but some people think so.
I think times are changing. Again, I go back, to the roots. Yeah, in the old days when it was just before, Grizzly Portention and Warminster, and it was also a lot. If you wanted to get to read the in thing about ufology, you tried to have US magazines and books. Today, no, we got some really forward-looking, young, great researchers, and I think we're a little less reserved than we were. I'll certainly grant you we're perhaps you've got that English sort of reservedness built into us, I guess.
Could be just the accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they're all disinformation agents.
Well, we're trying. We got a long way to catch up, because I think to be fair, you had the advantage of having the subject a lot more popular over there a long time before we did.
Right.
I can remember when I was at college, there was only about half a dozen or so of us that were really into it. And we used to sit in the corner of a coffee bar getting slagged off by the other students, and laughed at, and used to go, "Seen any little green men recently?" Which really bugged me, and
yeah.
I suppose we were a bit weird. I was sitting with my mum's homemade tea in a flask, and on top of a hill, looking at strange lights in the sky, most of which were either satellites or Venus, because I was too inexperienced to know what they were. It's like, dare I mention Area 51? Can we get to Area 51?
Oh, yeah, by all means.
I've got something really I need to say about Area 51. Look, Area 51, maybe 10, 15 years ago, was the place to be. And today, everyone assumes if you go to Area 51, you're going to see a UFO. No, what you see actually is a couple of signs saying, look, you're going to get shot if you go beyond this point. And then you go up there, and there's a couple of guys in a Humvee or whatever, looking quite mean, and you don't want to get shot. I mean, BBC Crew recently sort of invaded it and got thrown to the ground. Did you read about those guys? They actually went filming, and they got their cameras confiscated, and they got buffed up a bit. And but then you think to yourself, oh, hang on a minute. We all know now that the F-17 fighter was being flown out of Groom Lake 10 years before it was publicly known about. B1, no doubt, is the same. There's a lot of high-tech stuff being researched. There's a lot of Russian stuff that was worked on there in the Cold War. They've got a lot of experimental stuff flying out of there. So 9/10 of the stuff that's seen isn't UFOs, ET UFOs at all. It's probably black technology stuff that's 10 or 15 years ahead of what we know. But look at it from the US military point of view, the government, call them what you will.
Secret space program.
It's a very cost-effective decoy. You need to put a few signs up, have a few guys going around. You've got to have the place there to do your research and development work anyway. So you've got this air of secrecy about the place. It's a functioning research and development base. But if you put a few guards up and you allow this myth to grow up that, hey, it's, we've had Roswell craft there since 47 or whatever, then it draws all the people who are, extremely keen to just one place. So it's like a magnet, you got anyone who really wants to get in and inside knowledge and the inside track are all going to make their place there. If you guard that one place with a few guards and a few old signs and some CCTV so that people believe it's there, I think the real action, if there is ETs, machines being worked on and back engineered, is probably taking place hundreds if not thousands of miles away in a base nobody knows about. If you like, it's a decoy. It's an elaborate decoy. No doubt is a working R&D base.
Right.
But, it just suits the American government to let people think that there's ET stuff there.
So do you think Pine Gap is a decoy too?
No, Pine Gap I'm not too certain about, but Area 51 I really believe is more research and development stuff and black technology stuff.
And maybe the real stuff's going on in some of the labs. You know, like the normal labs that are just have above top secret clearances anyways, right?
You and I wouldn't know where all the labs are in the States. Got a fair idea there's a fair few of them.
Oh yeah.
Maybe not even in military labs. Maybe
that's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Private sector.
That's what I mean. More like.
Yeah, I mean, what's the American defense R&B budget for all the private companies? God only knows. I mean, billions of dollars. But I mean, the thing probably trillions. Come to think about it. But you got these, these stories of underground railway systems that link one side of the US to the other, and all these underground.
Plus all the gold they stole after World War II.
Yeah. I mean, we've got it in this country. We've got underground tunnels and underground bases here that go way, way back. I mean, some of the salt mines, date from about the 16th and 15th, 16th century. And they were hacked out underground in these massive great mines, and the government took them over and stored. We even got stories of steam railway engines being stored under Salisbury Plain in case there's an oil crisis, that the government could just bring out these steam engines and run them around the rail network because of no diesel oil being available. It's crazy stories. I think Area 51, interesting place, no doubt about it. If you want to go there and take a camera and stand the right side of the fence, you're going to see some interesting stuff. There's no doubt about it. I don't doubt the guys who say they've seen stuff and filmed it there. Yeah, they probably have. I'd like to spend a night or two there looking at what's going on in the sky. ET, I'd favour more of a research and development black project. Black technology. Fascinating, great to watch, but a centre of ET research and back engineering, probably not. I would bet your bottom.
Or at least not anymore.
Not anymore. May have done in the early days, but once it got too well known. Have you noticed that the powers to be in the States don't put out the great disclaimer about it, do they? They don't make a great fuss and say, "Hey, look, there's nothing going on here." We just do research and development work here. There's a load of rubbish to say we've got anything here.
They perpetuate the myth too.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even like that movie Independence Day, the U.S. military was letting them use their soldiers and their jets and their everything.
I think they backed out of Independence Day.
No, well, they showed Area 51, didn't they? I thought.
Yeah, but they backed out of the signing off and actually influencing that film, right?
Yeah, they did. They actually cooperated until it was mentioned that aliens were in Area 51, and then they stopped.
Yeah, right.
Is that how it went?
Yeah.
We've all worked. If you've been a journalist or you've been into ufology for a long time, we're all fully aware of the intelligence community works with disinformation and a lie of a truth of a lie, and it's like peeling back the layers of an onion. So you can say, well, they obviously stopped because there's something there, but no, they obviously stopped because they want you to believe there's something there.
Yeah.
So you've got to think, well, where does the truth start? Then you've got to, they deny because it's true, or do they say it's the truth because, it's not the truth? And you peel back these layers of deception over and over in the end. But do I know for certain? No. Educated guesswork, I would say, based on years and years of watching Area 51, I'd say, probably in the beginning there was a lot going on there that we would be very interested ufologists to know. Is there something going on there today that's to do with ET back technology, back engineered technology? I would say probably not. I would say that it's a very convenient place to attract everyone who is seriously into finding out. It's a cost-effective way of keeping those people interested and in the wrong place. You know, it's like laying a honey trap for the bees in one part of the area, because you want to keep the bees out of your backyard. You put the honey in the front yard. You know, they're going to get attracted to that whilst you're going on whatever you are doing somewhere hundreds, if not thousands of miles away. That's my thinking anyway on Area 51.
I like it. I like that theory.
Yeah, well, I'll probably one day I might go out there and get shot for to prove it. You know?
So I suppose you've been to Stonehenge once or twice over the years?
Yeah, I have, yeah. What do you think of the place? Well, it's brilliant, isn't it? Just brilliant. Don't forget, what you're looking at with Stonehenge is a Victorian rebuild. It may have looked something like it in the old days, but when the Victorians found it, it was a heap of tumbled down rocks, and they actually re-erected a lot of the stones of Stonehenge. Victorian Romanticism.
Oh, really? They don't tell you about that.
Ah, well, there you go. I mean, the stones were there, but a lot of them have sort of toppled over the years, and so they did the same to Stonehenge as they did to the Legends of King Arthur. You know, they romanticized it a bit, and then they thought it'd be great to rebuild it. So this is what they did. They put a lot of the stones back upright. Not all of them, but it's pretty well as it would have been, you know. But it is a rebuild job on some of it anyway. Not all of it, but some of it. But yeah, Stonehenge is fabulous. I mean, the whole area of Warminster, of Salisbury Plain, if you go there, you've got these hill forts and these tumuli, and the whole place is an intersection of ley lines. There is an energy about the place that, you know, it sort of gives you the heebie-jeebies. Walking across it, you can feel the place. You can feel the energy, even if you're not sensitive.
Yeah, I love that ley line shit. There's a crossing here actually in Alberta that I've been trying to convince Graham to go check. Oh yeah,
out. We'll go check it out.
I mean, Stonehenge just happens to lie on an intersection of all the major ley lines. And I tell you another place which I'm very fond of, and that is Glastonbury Tor. Glastonbury Tor, I've got a very personal thing. Can I quickly share it with you guys?
Yeah, for sure.
After the cancer, I had very serious and very sudden major cancer surgery, and I was pretty ill, and I couldn't walk too well. And then one day, for no unexplainable reason, I just said to my late mum, I'm getting a car. I'm going to drive to Glastonbury. She said, what do you want to go to Glastonbury for? You haven't been there since you were a boy. I said, I don't know. I just had this urge to go to Glastonbury, and that was quite an undertaking, because it's like a 2-hour drive from where I used to live, and I hadn't driven for nearly a year because the op was that bad. And I just unexpectedly, I got to Glastonbury Tor somehow, and I sat in the car and I looked, and it was raining at the time, and I looked up at this, and when you get to the base of the Tor, it's really quite a steep climb. It's mountain goat country, and I thought, what the hell am I doing here? Because there's no way I'm going to climb this hill. I mean, I could barely walk in a straight line. I was on crutches. And I got up and I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try. And, you know, I seemed to speed up this hill. And to my life, I don't know why I wanted to climb the hill, but I sat on this Tor for about, I don't know, I lost count. It was dark when I came down. And it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I went up. And I was soaking wet. I didn't feel cold, but I felt immensely fit. And I came home, and I swear to God, from that day on, my weight, which hadn't increased after the op, started to increase. My appetite came back. I threw the tablets away. I started living my life again. And I swear to the God on my mother's grave to this day that was the effect of the Tor. There was some energy in that Tor healed me, for want of a better word. It totally healed me, physically and mentally.
When you say Tor, what for all the listeners?
Well, Tor, yeah. Sorry, I should explain. It is a very large natural hill.
Yeah,
very steep, large natural hill. And on the top of this very steep natural hill, which is the Somerset Plains, it's floodplain, or it's very flat land, and this natural hill rises out from it, and it's dramatic. I mean, we're talking several hundred feet high, and it's got the ruins of a church tower on the top. You know, for any of you guys who want to sort of visualize it, go on the net and just punch in Glastonbury Tor, and you'll see a load of photographs of the place.
Yeah, I'm there right now. It looks really good.
Yeah, we'll make sure that that's posted in the show notes as well.
And it's got a fascinating history because Glastonbury had one of the largest abbeys in England, and at the time of the dissolution of monasteries in 1580 whatever by Henry VIII, he had the monastery pulled down, and they took the old bishop of the head of the monastery up to the top of the tower and they hanged him. And then wrecked the church that was up there. But this place has had legends going back to the time of King Arthur.
Yeah.
King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table are supposedly buried inside this tower in a secret chamber, asleep until England's at home. It's really wrapped up in Arthurian legend. It's wrapped up in all sorts of, you were on about ley lines. Yeah. It's one of the great mystic centres of the UK.
Is that St. Michael's Church at the summit there? Is that where you were?
Yeah, I'd say yeah, right up at the top.
So when you were there hanging out, were you in that thing, or were you on the hill near it? Or?
I'm right beside the tower, just looking at. And there isn't actually an inside because you just got the outer walls. You know?
Yeah.
And
so is it on a ley line as well?
It's the major crossing point of a load of major ley lines.
See, we got to go to those ley lines, bro. Check that.
Yeah,
shit out.
in the 1930s. You're going to have to correct me because I'm going off the top of my head here now. I've got a filing cabinet of a head, and sometimes I get the dates a little bit. But I think it's 1920s, 1930s. A lady went doing some aerial photography around it, and they noticed that the fields and the hedgerows and the old ancient pathways, it formed a zodiac around the thing. And it's really fascinating. The pattern of the zodiac is formed by these sort of man-made features around the tour. So you got this really, well, I can speak from personal experiences. I know that actually healed me. Yeah, that healed me, and I can't explain it. And I'm not a new age guy. I'm really not. I'm probably the squarest of the old hippies. I mean, but the thing is, it's just phenomenal.
Well, I'm not afraid to say I am a bit of a new age geek, and I like that story. So
it's not alone. There is something in earth energy. There is something in ley lines. I know ley lines are an invention of a guy. You know, he gave it the term. He happened to notice that the points between these ancient monuments were on a straight line. But then you get down to church steeple, the church high altars of ancient churches all lie on this ley line.
And the fascinating part is the consciousness around it, where you had that feeling and that draw to go there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And it came from nowhere.
So, what does your wife, seeing as she's spiritual and a medium and stuff, what does she think about that?
My wife, God bless her, she knows what I'm going to say. She's in bed with no one. Yeah. Sue has a sort of strange contradiction in the sense that she is a full-blown clairvoyant and clairaudient. She's natural. She's never been trained to it. You can take her in anywhere. It doesn't have to be an old place. It could be a modern house, and she'll see, hear, speak to people that aren't there. To us, they wouldn't be there. And as a researcher, I've deliberately set out to keep any facts I may know of the place away from her.
Right.
So I will not consciously research a place before we go there. So I've got no way that I could sort of, accidentally, subconsciously transmit any information to her at all. And we'll go to a place for the first time together, and her hitting rate for accuracy is hovering around about 90-95%, which I can't explain because there is no way. Sue's not interested in history. She doesn't even really believe in ghosts. To her, it's people that she's always had since she was a child. It's just as normal as seeing you and I. So it interests me that you've got this contradiction where Sue doesn't believe necessarily in ghosts and the paranormal mediumship, but she is a fully blown medium. And I can prove that she's got that ability because there is no way. She has got zero interest in history. So there's no way she's done any research. There's no books on where we go anyway in the house. And because all my research stuff is locked away, and I make sure that, if we're going somewhere, I don't leave any books or anything out. So there's no way that she's got any of this knowledge, but she comes back with names, addresses, dates, places, faces, clothing that fits the period for the person, and we find out lived there, and all this sort of crazy stuff. And the accuracy rate, I say, it hovers between 90 and 95%, and I can't explain it, other than the fact that she is a genuine medium. That's the only thing I can say. And I go out consciously looking for holes to pick. I'm skeptical in the sense of my research. I'm thorough. If I can find a logical explanation for something, I'll say it.
Maybe she can even see through time somehow.
Yeah, it could be. It could well be. I posed an interesting subject question once in one of the articles I wrote years ago, and I said, I wonder if we are ghosts to the ghosts. You know, I wonder if there's another dimension somewhere, living people from this time or another time who see us as ghosts as well as we see them.
Mm-hmm.
It's a two-way thing. You know, are the dead really the ghosts or are we? That's what I think I called it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got this two-way thing. You know, when you go ghost hunting and you got areas of high EMF and unusual EMF activity. You know, we call them vortexes or whatever. And I've always thought, I wonder what it would be like if you had an EMF amplifier creating a vortex of increased EMF activity right on that spot when that activity is going on. Would you actually wrench open that crack in the dimensions a little bit more? Dangerous thing to do because you don't know what you release.
Well, they've probably already done it in the labs in.
Yeah, well, you know, right. We're going down the Avenue Stargate, aren't we? But
yeah,
I mean, it's you know, God help, I love Hollywood, but you know, that's another subject again. But it's an interesting thought. I'm convinced that to me, the holy grail of the connection thing is EMF. Yeah. EMF crops up in every sort of type of paranormal activity that you can talk about. There is an EMF angle. Now, the thing is to find out whether or not the event causes the EMF or whether the EMF is caused by the event.
Yeah, exactly.
It's finding a way which way around it goes. Sorry, guys, I get a bit wound up with the technical stuff.
No, that's good.
That's where I am.
So have you been plowing through any of the final batch of documents released by the UK?
Yeah, no great surprises there, I'm sad to say. You know, they actually shut down the AS2A office now, the MOD. They've actually shut it down.
Yeah, we heard about that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, there's nothing in the UK that threatens UK military airspace. Okay, so you can have an aircraft carrier sized craft going over the North Sea towards Britain at 5,000 miles an hour, but that's not a threat to the UK. I think it might be. You know, I know we've got a reputation, what we were saying, for stiff upper lip and a bit sort of reserved, but if I saw an aircraft-sized UFO flying over my head at 5,000 miles an hour, I think it would be a threat. You know, I might consider that a slight threat to my personal safety, basically. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's, you know, they've shut down one department. No doubt they've got another one somewhere buried deep in Whitehall or the Manor out on Salisbury Plain, somewhere where we wouldn't know. I've no doubt that they've got their own UFO department still within the MOD. And
they don't have to deal with pesky fucking people asking for information and emails and everything else anymore.
I plead guilty because when I was a teenage enthusiast, back when I was like 16 and 17 and knew no better, I used to send letters off deliberately marked to Department AS2A at the Whitehall. And my mother used to say, "You're going to get in terrible trouble. You'll be arrested." And I said, "Yeah, wouldn't it be great? I can get arrested. I can write it all up. You know, I was hauled off to some secret base and told to forget everything." Never happened, you know, you guys. Never happened. Same. I still tempt fate sometimes, but I have to be in that pesky mood to do it. So that's the crazy side of me, I guess.
But, so what do you got coming up next then? What are you working on?
Well, I'm not working a lot at the moment. I'm sort of semi-retired at the professional side now. I've had arthritis the last couple of years, and that combined with the cancer scarring, I've had to slow down a bit because I had a couple of health scares. So I'm just going to carry on Twittering, carry on doing a bit of writing for you guys. I owe you an article too. Sorry about that. It's not too well. I must get one done for you.
No worries.
I just carry on loving the subject. I'm doing a bit more writing, hopefully doing a bit more radio work. I'd love to do that. And just basically keeping on my finger on the pulse of the thing. You never actually retire from this game. It's too much of a passion to retire from. Yeah, I was always going to say, so you know, my wife always laughs when I said I'm retired. She said, you'll die talking about UFOs. She's probably right, actually. If I don't kill my audience off of boredom, I'll probably die myself, you know.
Oh, no, you don't have to worry about that. You've been a great guest.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys, and thank you for asking me to come on your show tonight. I've really enjoyed myself.
No problem. We'll probably have you back sometime down the road. So where can people find you?
Okay, so, all right. Well, I'm still on the Twitter feed. It's at CRAZYUFOLOGIST. That's all one word. I don't have to go through that, do I? Okay, no, CRAZYUFOLOGIST. There you are. Not bad for this time of night. It's past, no, what's gone? Oh, yeah, crikey Moses. It's gone 11 o'clock at night here now. You can find me on. You can find me on Twitter. You can also email me. Do you want me to give you my email address? I don't mind being public.
Sure.
It's all one word, no spaces, no gaps. Nigel Wright 604@gmail.com. Nigel Wright 604@gmail.com. You can contact me on that and my Twitter feed. If you want to read the books,
sell some of your books. What are your books?
I'm not going to sell my book. I don't get a penny out of it. Would you believe now? It's gone out. It's second reprints out on Amazon, and it's called The Rising of the Moon. And it's by a guy called John Downes, Jon Downes, Downes, and Nigel Wright, yours truly. And that's on second reprint. You can get that on Amazon now. So there you go. And that covers the period that I was talking about, 1997 UFO wave. And we go backwards and a little bit forwards as well. And that covers our thoughts to do with Wilhelm Reich and the orgone energy bit. And it also covers a lot of tying in of. It's 200 odd pages long, so I can't really go into what it's all about. But it's
that's good. That's great.
It covers the whole theory of areas of high strangeness, as John and I called them, and that's about it really. I've got one out on Kindle called Chasing the Shadows, which was a feeble attempt at writing the first part of my autobiography. I got worried the other day. I sat down and I thought I'm going to write my life story, and it took me all of 20 seconds on the back of a cigarette. Yeah, I've led a really interesting and varied life, yawn. It's not been too bad, and it's still going to, I've got a few chapters left to do yet, but I'm going to rewrite that one.
Well, we're looking forward to reading that, and also looking forward to having you on again.
Well, Thank you very much. It'd be an honor to be on anytime you like, and like I say, anytime I can give you any sort of news on big stories this side of the pond, I'll certainly come on and let you guys know about it.
Yeah, that'd be great. You can be kind of our UK field correspondent.
And I could be the Merlin of the UK. I've got the beard. I've got the beard. Anyway, thanks very much, you guys, for having me on this show. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, and that was our interview with Nigel Wright, the crazy ufologist, and it was a great interview. I enjoyed it quite a bit. How'd you like it, Graham?
Yeah, I loved it. Loved the healing story at Glastonbury. I liked the mammal mutilation part. The UFOs connected with all the other high strangeness.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. Of course, we'll link to his Twitter account in the show notes, and where you can find his books and all that great stuff. And we'll probably have him on again down the road to keep us up to date on what's going on over the pond. Yeah, for sure. And if you want to talk about right now all our upcoming guests, we can do that for July. Yeah, next we'll have our next guest will be Dennis McKenna, which will be great. We'll be talking about his book, The Brotherhood of the Screaming Abyss, which we've been looking forward to for quite a while. So I can't wait. We'll be doing that interview on Wednesday. We'll probably have it out to you guys over the weekend. And then after that? After that will be Robbie Graham from silverscreensaucers.com. We've got our makeup interview with him. And then after that, we'll have the infamous Nick Redfern talking about all his books. His latest, I believe, is called Monster Files. And then even still after that, we have Michael Cremo and then Grant Cameron. So we were thinking if you guys want to ask any questions, us to ask any questions to those guests, just send us an email. That's at Graham at Grimerica, Graham at Grimerica.com. Yeah, and Darren at Grimerica.com. And of course, our feedback line is feedback at Grimerica.ca. So I suppose that about does it. We'll be back right away here next week with Mr. McKenna. And, of course, we'll have links to all of Nigel's stuff in the show notes, and we'll have links to all the music that you heard in this episode in the show notes as well. So I suppose that's about it. Graham, do you have anything you want to add?
No, that's about it. Thanks, Darren. It was great.
Yeah, and we'll catch you guys next time.